Welcome back to the Range Minded Podcast. I am your humble host, Steve Zimmerman. This episode, I don't know what I'm going to call it. Who knows what I'm going to call it, honestly, because there has been so much going on over the last week since our last recording. There's just a lot of chaos going on, mostly with the government. We're going to talk about, this first thing I want to talk about, apparently our rights don't come from God. So that'll be fun to talk about. A couple weeks ago, we talked about Everytown creating a firearms training program. Well, they introduced it, and we do need to talk about that. And then maybe we'll throw in what everybody else is talking about, the whole transgender firearms ban that Trump presented. I have maybe a take on that might not be popular with some folks, but honestly, I don't care. But first things first, we need to talk about this. Let me transition this thing over. This was interesting. We'll just let it play. I'll talk in and out of it.
Chair,
it's ridiculous.
Mr. Barnes, I was struck by your opening comments, and I asked to get a copy of them so I could read them and make sure I quoted them correctly. You state, and this is a quote from Secretary Rubio, "Our rights come from God, our Creator, not from our laws, not from our governments." I find that very, very troubling. I'm a devout person. I was a missionary in Honduras. We've got other devout folks in this room, Christian, Jewish, Muslim, American. The notion that rights don't come from laws and don't come from the government, but come from the Creator, that's what the Iranian government believes. It's a theocratic regime that bases its rule on Shia law. And targets Sunnis, Baha'is, Jews, Christians, and other religious minorities. And they do it because they believe that they understand what natural rights are from their Creator.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
So the statement that our rights do not come from our laws or our governments is extremely troubling. I think the motto over the Supreme Court is equal justice under law. The oath.
All right. I just can't let Senator Kaine spew out this garbage too much longer. We can jump back into it in a second because he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. He's talking out of his butthole. By the way, you may have noticed my gun control donkey back here.
Nice.
Don't worry, that is not a real gun. That is a pellet gun that is completely, doesn't have any CO2 gas or anything in it. But that's exactly what I think about gun control, is where we can slide that firearm. Mr. Kaine here is a complete buffoon. Do you guys understand this guy was going to be vice president or was running to be vice president at one point? This buffoon could have been vice president. I think it was with Hillary Clinton. This idiot. He had the balls. This is the Senate. I think it was a judiciary hearing. He had the audacity to get up in front of us in this hearing. I mean, obviously the whole public wasn't there, but this is televised. As you can see, this is recorded. I pulled this off YouTube. This jackwagon says that our rights don't come from God, they come from the government, and anybody that says otherwise is working under theocracy. Then he points out in the Middle East that these people believe in a God, and they're pushing their religious agenda as a government, and it's oppressive and evil and dangerous. This guy obviously either never passed any kind of an American history. I assume he went to university. Well, here's the problem. I mean, honestly, he went to public school, but he's an idiot still, nonetheless. I know a lot of smart kids that have graduated high school. Hell, my youngest daughter in junior high, she probably understood this before she even made it to junior high, that our rights are inalienable rights are endowed by our Creator. It is in our founding documents. It is in all the contemporary documents. Yeah, I know that not all the founding doctrine, I understand that not all the founding fathers, rather, They weren't all Christian. In fact, some of them were vehemently against Christianity. I mean, you got to understand the reason why the Constitution, or the Bill of Rights rather, is written the way it is they just fought off a country that their ancestors left because of religious persecution, because Henry and the rest of the buffoons in England created this church that was completely oppressive, and they made every law structure, every penalty structure, everything inside of the church. So not only did the king have power, but the church had power. And, the Puritans and the Pilgrims are like, no. That's not what it talks about in the Bible. They came to the Americas, right? Then by the 1700s, our founding fathers and those who fought for liberty, sorry, my watch just went off. Those that fought for liberty, they understood that there is a God. There is natural laws. Look at Blackstone's commentaries. Look at John Locke's stuff. There is a vast amount of supporting literature and political doctrine at the time, and social and societal understanding that, yeah, there probably is a God, and this is why. Yet, Mr. Kaine here is missing a few brain cells from, I don't know, maybe all the money he's making off of our back. Maybe he's just been in the cesspool for far too long, which is definitely the case with 99% of those in Washington who represent us. But to say that our rights are not granted by God, this is telling for the future of the Democrat Party. Honestly, politics, the body politic in general. But Mr. Kaine here is saying the quiet thing out loud about how they feel about who they are and who they think we are. You see, he's putting himself and those that are in office with him on this pedestal. They're smarter than we are. They know more than even God might know, and they're the arbiter of all things free and holy in this country. Many of you guys know how I feel about the government. Many of you know how I feel about my freedom, and your freedom, by the way. This is dangerous thought, my friends. Dangerous thought. Pull out a dollar bill. If you have any spare change. It's even on your coins. Look at your quarter. What does it say on the quarter, on the penny, on the dime, on the dollar bill? Who do we trust in? What about in our Pledge of Allegiance? One nation under God, right? The preamble to the Constitution. The Bill of Rights. They all mention deity in some way, shape, or form. Listen, most people believe in a supreme being. Most people believe in a God. Yeah, we all might call him by different names. But there is a God that has given us what we have. We just may see him in different ways and understand him in different ways. And that's fair. But to say that this country, that the United States, is a theocracy, first of all, it's completely uneducated. I mean, what a completely moronic statement. We do not have a state religion. We do not have a religious leader running a country. He brings up the Middle East, was Iran or whatever. Yeah, the imam runs the entire country, runs everything. He rules all. Do we have an imam here? I'm sure folks like Mr. Kaine here would love to have that kind of political power. And this is what he's doing. He is putting himself and his cohorts in place of a God. He himself is trying to become a God of sorts, the arbiter of natural laws and freedom. Mr. Kaine, those who maybe work with Mr. Kaine, I hope some of you are watching this. It is rhetoric like this that will create your downfall. Keep doing this. Because even your staunch Baptist, Southern Baptist, your deep blue religious voters are going to hear you talk about taking God out of everything that is sanctified in the Constitution. Go for it. Go for it. It's not going to end well for you. And by the way, Republicans do this too. I'm not just... Mr. Kaine here had the audacity to actually say this quiet part out loud, but I have zero doubt that there are many, many, many on both sides of the aisle with whatever letter behind their name that they lied to get into these offices. I'm sure many of them feel the exact same way. This is the reason. This asshole is the reason why you need to be involved more than you are. Man, keep taking God out of our country. See how it ends up. I have a feeling it's not going to be good for you. Blank party. Put whatever party you want to put in there. Right now, it happens to be the Democrats. By the way, later on, Senator Cruz, he has a pretty good rebuttal to this idiot. It's awesome. I'm not a huge... Ted Cruz? I think that's who it was. I'm not a huge Cruz fan. I used to really like him back in the day. I really just don't like politicians. I just don't trust them. There are a few that I think I can trust in Washington, but on the daily, they keep opening their mouths and saying things that remove my trust little by little. What's going on in Washington? It is pretty hideous. Pay attention, folks. Pay attention. Let's move some other things around here. Let's get to this next topic, because I think this is mildly important. Yeah, I gotta flop some things around here. Tell me what you guys think about Mr. Kaine here. Do you think it's okay? Do you think he's right? Do you think that involving God in any way, shape, or form? I'm not talking 10 commandments in the schools. I'm not talking prayers in schools, but removing God in every way, shape, or form, taking him out of the founding documents. Look at Thomas Jefferson's writings on this, by the way. The founding structure of this country refers to God, and this guy and his party want to ditch that because it hurts feelings. It hurts feelings. Well, I guess maybe the wicked take the sin to be harsh, right? Or the truth to be harsh. I mean, whatever. Yeah, the wicked take the truth to be harsh. I don't know. I'm not a scholar. All right, I'm going to jump in here really quick. This is recorded at the same time as I did the rest of the show. I want to be a little bit of a disruptor. I want to cause some stir in the Second Amendment to a creators community. So the Gundy's Awards are taking nominations. It's that time of year. I think the Gundys happen in December, if I'm not... I could be wrong there. Probably should look that up. But I want to be a disruptor. I want you guys to nominate me. That sounds really manipulative. It would be an honor if you would please nominate me and the Range Minded Podcast as a whatever category you think fits for the Gundy's Awards. I would love to see my name pop up. Or not necessarily my name. It's not this prideful thing. I'd love to see the podcast percolate up a little bit into the mind's eye of these folks that produce and bring forth the Gundys, and maybe expand the audience a little bit. It'd be fantastic, actually. It'd be super fantastic. And it might be a way to help me hit my 1,000 subs. Nonetheless, jump to thegundys.com, and there's a whole criteria. Just kind of work your way through it, and there's a place to nominate your favorite creator for I don't know, podcast of the year, new creator, breakout creator, whatever category you think fits. That would be super swell. You guys are awesome. Now go back to the show and enjoy. See you guys. Let's jump to this next thing. So I mentioned, I don't remember if it was a couple episodes ago, that the NSSF leaked out that they were in some kind of a meeting, big meeting. Representatives from Everytown, which is an anti-gun organization, if you don't know. Everytown for gun safety, but we just kind of call them Everytown. Moms Demand Action. They're all kind of paid by the same, George Soros, Michael Bloomberg, actually, not Soros money. It's really the same thing. Basically anything to do to take our rights away. Not unlike Mr. Kaine's comments, really, if you think about it. But Everytown has launched their firearms training curriculum, website, everything. Let's look at this. So I perused this earlier today. I left work a little early. Don't tell my boss, but left a little work a little early today and was perusing the interwebs. And I came across this through various means. Okay, it was really Twitter, and then I found the link from Twitter, but it doesn't matter. Not that I spend too much time on the socials. But here you can see, check this out. Everytown. It's called the Train Smart program. By the way, I had Arby's today for dinner. I'm supposed to be trying to lose weight. Some reason I decided to cook tonight, so we went to Arby's. It was awful. Arby's, you got to step up your game. It was just, terrible. Anyway, let's look at this here. I'm actually going to make this screen just a skosh bigger. Here we see Everytown with their Train Smart firearms training program. This is really interesting. So, I can't wait to talk to you. I forgot I had a little bit more deeper information on this till just now. So this is their website. I mean, let's start at the top. Well, let's look at their courses. What do they got? Well, we have choose the way you want to learn. So the Smart Guide to Buying a Gun. It's 1.5 hours. You can either do it in person or online, but it costs you $20. So that's not a terrible class rate, I suppose, but that's considered a donation. So I would love to see what's in here, and I'm hoping somebody kind of leaks their information of what they're teaching, their curriculum. But it's a $20 class. But here's what you're going to learn in this course. Why people own firearms today. Facts about gun ownership, secure gun storage, universal gun safety rules, protecting your home, what to look for in a gun, and the importance of firearms training. That sounds just like a normal type of a gun class, right? Yeah, sure. I would really like to see what their curriculum entails. The second course they offer is a $40 class, the Smart Guide to Owning a Gun. What are we going to learn in this class? Facts about gun ownership. Same damn thing. Oh, except for there's a few other things. Facts about gun ownership, secure gun storage, universal gun safety rules, which is probably going to include red flag laws, universal background checks, and other things. Types of firearms and ammunition, federal and state gun laws. That would be interesting to see what they're sharing with that. And suicide prevention. By the way, when I teach, I really like the USCCA's curriculum. I think it's a good curriculum. We've talked about this before. If you take a firearms class from me, we are actually going to learn this exact same stuff, and you won't be getting it from an anti-gun group. So there's that. Train Smart Gun Safety and Marksmanship. This is, if you take this in person, it's $100 for an 8-hour class, which this should probably be a $50 class, maybe a $75 class. But you're going to learn marksmanship if you take it online. You can do it for $60. I don't know how you're going to train your marksmanship for a $60 online plan, but whatever. In this class, you're going to learn secure gun storage. So we're going to talk about, laws that the lefties have been trying. Universal safety rules, protecting your home, federal state gun laws, suicide prevention, de-escalation tactics, which is you're probably just going to let the guy shoot you. pistol marksmanship, and troubleshooting malfunctions. That's great, sure. Okay, look, there's they just have those 2 classes. I thought maybe they'd have a little bit more, but no, they don't. So then they have their calendar, yeah. Oh, it tells you who the instructor is. So that I thought was interesting. Sure, these sound like pretty cookie cutter firearms courses. Let's visit the instructors real quick. Not to disparage who they have as instructors. I read all these bios. We're not going to go through all these bios, but when you look at them, you're going to realize that they picked some peaches, right? Some of them are gun owners. These are the FUD type gun owner instructors. I believe in the Second Amendment but types. That's every one of these, by the way. What I was really intrigued by was who are these people? Not the instructors. That's not what I'm talking about. Who are the trained smart people? Like, I know it's Everytown that's working on this, but as we read through some of this stuff, we catch glimpses. Oh, there's something else I wanted to share, but let's do this first. Our mission is to create safe, responsible gun owners who serve as role models in their communities and recognize that firearms should only ever be a last resort for self-defense. I don't disagree with that, but when they're talking safe storage laws, you're not going to get a chance to get the gun out. Let's see, let's go back to the main page because I wanted you guys to see, yes, the Leadership Council here. Because we're going to learn a little bit. Some of these people are really intriguing, and we don't know anything about many of them. Every one of these people are veterans, which I'm not disparaging at all. They've all had some role, military role, and there's some that are educators in the Navy. Like, I'm not disparaging or doubting their prowess in the formal military world. But being in the military does not a gun expert make. I have spent many hours on ranges making sure people are safe. Often, not always, but often, it's the retired military personnel and the not on duty, but current serving police officers that are by far the worst, the most unsafe, and the most egotistical and wrong firearms owners, at least users in the range. Not always. I do know some fabulous current serving police officers and retired military that are excellent. But I have a feeling the FUD level on this council is staggering. Is absolutely staggering. Now, I did a little bit of digging. I told you I left work a little early. I can't see my notes here. I was really interested, I guess, is the best way to say it. Really interested to see who these council members are. Like, I got stacks of notes here, so I gotta dig through them here. I should have probably staged this a little bit better for you guys, but hey, this is what it is. We're almost to the top here. All right, so I was curious to see if or how many of this smart council have they worked with raising money for Everytown. Like, how did they get to where they're at? And many of them, I don't know how they were picked. I don't know how they got where they were. Some of these people are just kind of an enigma. Like, I can't find some of the information on these people. I can find a lot of their military history. It's not like that is extremely hard. The first one, Mr. Brooks, I'm not going to go back and look at their pictures just because I can't. It's too hard for me to do two things at once. as far as sharing my screen. Born in Portland. I was trying to find out if he had done any lobbying, like I said, and there really is no history of him doing any kind of lobbying other than being involved with Everytown. Now, understand that, yeah, I am totally doing guilt by association in this particular instance. If you're involved with anything that Everytown or Moms Demand does, you are anti-gun. You're anti-Second Amendment. I don't care how you slice it. You want to take rights away from certain people. The Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That is the very thing that Everytown and Moms Demand and many, many others are deliberately attacking, is your right to keep and bear arms. I am an absolutist, by the way. If you've paid your due to society, if you paid your debt to society, and the government feels that you are safe to let out of any kind of incarceration, you should have your rights restored. If you are too dangerous to be walking the streets with a firearm, why are you out of jail? Why are you out of prison? That's the way I look at it. Yeah, I should be able to buy a tank if I want to. By the way, in my state, I can own a tank. If you can't do it in your state, sorry. Find better representation. The second one is Mary Beth Bergman. She, like I said, all these people are veterans. They have worked for different corporations. Some of these I really can't. I didn't really understand. I didn't want to spend a million years digging into each one of these people. But a lot of them are like veterans for Everytown or veterans for gun safety. There's a few of those in here. None of, like her and the previous one, they never really openly said that they're supporting any kind of anti-2A stuff, yet they work for Everytown, so yeah, they're definitely anti-gun. The third one is Mr. Cooper. 20 years of combat experience. Thank you for your service. Let's see. No, he had no ties to some of this stuff. As far as lobbying is concerned, like I said, I was specifically looking for lobbying stuff. MJ Hager, by the way, she is one of the gals down in there. She works for Everytown. She works for Everytown. She actually ran for Senate and then was a House. Yeah, she ran for a House seat in Texas in 2018. Then she ran for the Senate in 2020. She lost both of them. But she raised a lot of money from Everytown as far as being a gun grabber. She's supposed to be pro-gun. Like I said, a lot of these are, I'm pro-gun, but she did work as a lobbyist. She has helped get a lot of money for Everytown. And she's openly criticized the Second Amendment. Sorry, I'm just like looking through my show notes while I'm sharing this. Next one is Major General Michael Lenhart, 37-year veteran. Thank you for your service. He's been on a few different boards. Let's see. He is definitely part of the Train Smart Leadership Council, which we already know that because that's what we're talking about. Excuse me. He says he's neutral on gun policy and ethics, but again, do you know what? This is boring. I'm not going to keep going through this. This is boring. You guys don't want to know this. Other than they're, as far as lobbyists or those who work directly with anti-gun establishments and gun-grabbing groups, it looks like, what was there, 6 out of those 12? Yep, 6 members. So Cooper, Hager, Leiser, Lynch, and McFarland and Van Diver explicitly support gun control. Yet here they are. They're on this board of training you how to use a gun safely. I don't know about you. I don't trust this. But doing some digging, I also found out that this exists. I didn't realize this unless they just launched this. Let's bump this to the top. This is the Be Smart program for children. So screw Eddie Eagle. I know that's kind of a cringe video from back in the day. We don't need anything that the NRA produces, yet they've had many, many years of training and education on safety. But yeah, don't worry. Everytown has you covered. Here's the other thing. Let's scroll down to the bottom. Look at the copyright, a program of Everytown for Gun Safety Support Fund. These are fundraising. I don't think this is so much about, you'd think the other one's any different? Yeah, let's look at the bottom here. At Everytown for Gun Safety Support Fund, down here at the bottom. These are designed to be fundraisers. Maybe they're seeing some issues with funds going down the drain in some way. Gun owners, do not support this. Do you know what? You can do what you want. If you want to take these classes, I would be really curious to see, by the way, what the curriculum is. So if you do happen to buy some of this curriculum, not that I would condone sharing it, it might be really interesting to see it. If you want to take these classes from these folks, go for it. Do it. But understand that you are being taught something with an agenda. They have worked very hard. Do you remember the episode I did a few episodes ago about the tactics, the same type of tactics that were used to destroy the tobacco industry are being used on the firearm industry? This is all part of the same thing. Everytown, Mom's Demand, they're changing tactics because obviously they've done some kind of focused marketing group to see what words work best. If you notice now, it's not anti-gun policies, it's gun safety. Now they've created some curriculum to piggyback off the gun safety thing. These are all calculated steps. They're not just, oh, let's throw this up. Gun owners, may I suggest, if you want to spend your money on this curriculum, do whatever you want to do. But may I suggest there are much better, much more concise, and much less indoctrination, if you will, in one of my classes. I'll be happy to teach you. And I'll even charge you $100, just like they did, to keep it fair. It seems only right. You see, because I am a certified firearms instructor. That's what I was going to tell you. They're instructors. I do want to show you something in their little bios here, because there's a little bit of skewing and some really good psychological steps going on here. Almost all their bios for all their instructors. Bianca, she seems nice. She's bisexual. But just if you wondered, that's what it says in her bio, because everybody needs to know that about their instructor. Their sexual preferences is highly important. Every one of these bios talks about hunting. Not one of them that doesn't mention anywhere on this website the Second Amendment. It doesn't say Second Amendment anywhere. It does say hunting a lot. You see, if they can convince people that owning firearms sure is for self-defense, but is really for hunting, it diminishes the purpose, the real reason for the Second Amendment. Yes, it is for fighting a tyrannical government. That's what it was there for. Yes, back in the day, regular citizens owned the exact same and sometimes better weaponry than the fighting military force at the time, because there really wasn't an army for quite a while. You know that, right? Especially a Navy, that really didn't exist for quite a while, yet it was all citizen merchant marines that owned these fighting ships. It's just what I'm saying here. Just look it up. You don't have to believe me. Anyway, I thought that was rather intriguing. Here's the best way to do this. I say it every freaking episode. Take people shooting with you. Go to the range. Find some classes to take with them. you really can find some good, affordable classes near you. They don't have to even be shooting classes like this. They offer these clowns offer a finding the right firearm for you class. I would be happy to do that for you for free. $0. Zero. From somebody who sells guns, well, used to anyways, that knows the principles and reasons behind the why of firearms, the reasons behind the Second Amendment, which isn't just guns. It's for weapons of offense and defense, if you really want to dig into it. So that includes a lot of things. This designed, these groups, this curriculum, the Train Smart and Think Smart specifically, are designed to change the way people look at the Second Amendment on purpose. It is meant to cloud and muddy the waters, to change people's mindset. This is a long game thing. By taking somebody to the range yourself, by finding good, solid instructors and not doing things like this, you're going to understand and see a lot more of the why. The reason why I have this show, the reason why I get so passionate about this stuff is the why. And till my dying breath, I will push against group like these, and Kaine, like we saw in the beginning, I will push against them till I die, because they are lying to you. They're deceiving you. They're using a little bit of lie and some truth, and as we incrementally steer you away from the fact, from the truth, then you're not interested in reality anymore, because you've been deceived by those little tiny increments of deception for so long. That's all this is. But I do caution you, and I said this on X earlier, 2A family, am I concerned about stuff like this? Yes and no. I think we need to get ahead of this. We need to rebrand. Not really rebrand, but we need to be better at presenting curriculum for now. This is something the NRA does not understand. And honestly, the USCCA, though their curriculum is way more up to date, it is not up to date enough. The folks that are coming into the 2A community are totally different now than they were 10 years ago. The way their minds work, the way they understand and see the Second Amendment is all different than what previous generations, if you will, understand the Second Amendment to be. We need to connect with these people. And guess what? Some of these people might not see things the same way we do, whether it be politically, whether it be sexual orientation, or whatever you want to say it. These people have a right to keep and bear arms too. They deserve good education. They don't deserve deceit, which is what they're getting from Everytown. Who knows? That might get me sued. I'm not saying don't take their classes. This is not any kind of defamation with these individuals or this organization. You can do whatever you want with your money. It's a free country. Just be mindful of what you're paying for. And I think you're good, better, best. This is not quite even to the good level. There are better classes out there, and there are some incredible, incredible classes out there that are probably going to be less political than you think and far more educational and insightful than what I believe you would be getting through this organization. Everytown, if you're watching this, I would love to go through your curriculum. If you don't know who I am, I've been in the firearms industry since 2016 professionally. I have taught hundreds of students. I would love to go through your curriculum. I'm not interested in being an instructor, but I would like to see what you're teaching, what you're teaching these people. It should be very interesting. All right, I don't know. I got something in my eye or something that's super dry. My voice is getting a little gravelly too, so we got to be tidying this up pretty quick. So A couple days ago, there was a leak from the DOJ talking about, and I know you've heard about this, so many people have heard about this, the transgender gun ban from the DOJ and the Trump administration. Now, I stand by my comment of quite a while ago. I made a video that I believe, and I stand by it, Trump, under his leadership, more anti-gun legislation has been passed than by any other president. Now, it might be the opposite is true as well. Maybe under his leadership, more pro-2A stuff has happened in the books. Needless to say that there's a lot of anti-gun stuff that happens with the people that Trump brings into office. I do not like Pam Bondi. I think she is a terrible, terrible human being, at least as far as it comes to our Second Amendment rights. She was happy to propose red flag laws, and Trump went right along with it because he trusted her. She is a buffoon, just like Mr. Kaine was in the very beginning of our video. They're all hell-bent on taking our rights away because they know better than us. Anyway, I digress. So this transgender gun ban, I'm actually just kind of perusing an article on Ammo Land. It's pretty interesting stuff. So the biggest concern, was that this ban would open the door for future bans. Now, if you have not purchased a firearm, you go through this. It's a background check that we fill out, a form 4473, which is a federal document we have to fill out to perform a background check with the FBI and the National Instant Check System. That's been that way since the 90s. One of the questions is have you been, and I'm paraphrasing here, have you been mentally adjudicated or deficient or somewhat? I probably should have looked it up, but you get the idea. Basically, they ask you the question if you have any kind of mental illnesses or you have been institutionalized for a doctor said that you have some mental conditions that could be a danger. That's basically the question. Actually, that's probably far more explanatory than what's in the documentation. There is avenues already out there. There's laws that exist. There's a framework that's already out there that if you are mentally ill, you cannot purchase a gun. Abiding that a person answers those questions in the 4473, truthful. Now, lying on a federal document is a big deal, right? You're not supposed to lie on any kind of federal paperwork. So if they lie, I guess then they shouldn't own a gun either. There is a big problem. At least there's a perceived problem, which I do think there might be an issue here as far as HIPAA is concerned. There's a lot of information that can't go to the FBI, even though they probably have all that information. There's reporting deficiencies. There's a lot of things that aren't taking place that the Democrats really want to not only fix, but drastically change, which would be much, much worse for purchasing a firearm. Needless to say, if you are not supposed to be walking the streets, we just said this a few minutes ago, then why are you out? If you're deemed incapable of owning a firearm, why are you walking the streets? Now, some of the concerns with this bill or proposed leak, not a proposed leak, it was a leak, with this idea of this transgender ban. So a lot of gun groups, GOA, NRA, many more, myself, lots of folks on Twitter, we expressed our concern about this. I believe that if the purpose is only banning guns to a specific type of individual, that's not acceptable. That is completely anti-Second Amendment. That's a blanket ban. They did that during the Jim Crow era. Look that up. Gun laws are completely racist. If you look at the actual root of banning firearms in this country, completely racist. Now, is this sexism? Is it attacking a protected class? Maybe. Years ago, gender dysphoria was in, I can't remember the name of the book, the medical book, the DSM-5 or whatever it's called. I'm sure I'm wrong. But it was defined as a mental illness. So I'm guessing what Trump and his group are trying to do. There's no secret. Trump has talked about creating institutions again, mental institutions, which would make sense because, you have to be mentally ill to kill somebody. And many of these previous shooters, as we looked at in a couple episodes, last episode actually was the last episode, that these shooters met with medical professionals, psychiatric professionals. It was like 52% or something met with individuals, met with doctors. Gosh, I cannot talk tonight. Maybe if there was a place to institutionalize folks that are having psychotic episodes, that might be an idea. We need to understand, though, like I said, there is a system, there is a framework that exists. If somebody is in question of being able to possess a weapon, in any case, there should be court hearings. There should be some kind of a trial, right? They have to have a lawyer. There has to be witnesses to, accuse them. They get to face their accusers. And then the burden of proof is on the government to take away somebody's rights. That's not just firearms, but it's any of our rights. There's a framework that's already out there that we can use to take care of an issue that exists, but adding more laws, there are over 20,000 gun laws, state and federal, on the books in the United States. We have laws that exist to fix problems like these, but I don't know if they're too complicated or it's just fun to add another law, or God may create freedom, but government creates the laws, right? That's part of the problem. So in this AmmoLand article, it says what Trump's team is really doing. I want to read this part. So Mark Smith, 4 Boxes Diner, he participated. I don't know if they might be referencing his video actually here. So what's Trump's team really doing? Mark Smith argues that Trump administration isn't rushing towards some sweeping ban. Instead, they're doing these 3 things. And I think that's important to see and understand, or at least hear some perspective on this. Number 1, reframing gender dysphoria as a mental illness. This challenges the psychiatric establishment, and forces political debate over whether it should be treated differently under existing laws. The next one, forcing the left into a corner. If Democrats want to defend transgender rights, they'll have to defend the Second Amendment and due process for transgender individuals. Both are arguments that strengthen the rights of all gun owners. Maybe. And then the third one, shifting blame away from the guns. By highlighting mental illness as the issue tied to mass shooters, the administration can argue the problem isn't the AR-15. It's untreated, unstable individuals. That makes it hard for anti-gun politicians to call for more gun bans. Smith also suggests Trump may be laying the groundwork for a broader brush to bring back mental institutions, which we just talked about. But then it cites this political trap, and then we'll be done here. Political trap. Again, this is out of the article. This may actually be a smart play by Trump's DOJ by floating the idea that they force Democrats into a corner. If they say trans individuals should keep their gun rights, they admit all Americans have the right to self-defense. If they argue against due process, they expose themselves as wanting the government power to strip rights without trials, which I don't think they care. Either way, gun owners win the bigger fight, keeping the Second Amendment tied to due process and not to politics. What do you guys think about this? Man, there is so much, and this eye is just bugging me. There's so much going on with this transgender gun ban thing. I don't care what you do in the privacy of your own home. What I do care is when it interferes with other people's lives, health, and safety, which maybe this whole transgender issue does interfere with individuals' health and safety. We've seen a massive uptick in folks that are identifying this way. Though mass shooters are not always transgender, something like the last 7 have been folks with gender issues. Now, there could be other medications and other mental things going on. The last shooter, I'm not going to say his name because he can rot in hell. He definitely had more going on, some kind of psychosis. It seems like I heard, now this is just hearsay, but it seems like I heard something like the voices were telling him to do it or something. Ian Carroll actually had, I'm pretty sure it was one of his videos, talking about some of these really, really dark web groups that are targeting and manipulating individuals. And this could totally play into it. That is an actually pretty interesting thing. If you don't like Ian Carroll, well, whatever. You should watch that video. It's pretty intriguing. Nonetheless, there is a lot going on politically. It's rough out there, folks. It's really, really rough out there. By the way, I should have said this before. I'm still trying to get to my 1,000 subs. If you liked this show, I know we're probably running a little bit longer than I wanted to. If you like this show, if you like what I'm talking about, if you like having somebody who stands in your corner for the Second Amendment, please like, share, and comment on this video. It doesn't cost you anything. It helps my videos trickle up a little bit. Also, and you know what? I'm going to put a video in the beginning of this video, a little teaser of something that I've been wanting to do, and that's what's going to happen. I'll make a video. You'll see. It'll be like going back in time. But take somebody shooting. My hell, please bring people into the fold. Be a responsible gun owner. Part of being a responsible gun owner is inviting people to go shooting with you, to be a good representation, a representative of the Second Amendment and safe, responsible firearms use. It's the only way we're really going to combat anti-gun propaganda, leftist ideologies, and a lot of the BS that's going on in Washington, specifically anything in the DOJ that's anti-gun. I can't express how important it is to be a good friend and of the Second Amendment and being an example that other people want to emulate and be part of a good group. I love you guys. I appreciate you. I am getting tired. It's almost midnight right now. That's why I'm staggering through my speech. I appreciate you guys for everything that you do. Thank you so much. Help me hit my 1,000 subs. That would be super rad by the end of this year. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself. Take somebody shooting. And as always, stay range-minded. See you guys.
What do you think you're doing?
We're setting you adrift, idiot.
Maybe you can go live with the Danish. You'll regret this day, friend.